Hey everybody, welcome back to Reason and Theology on a Tuesday. Well, we got unfortunately some more disappointing news. I mean, we're already disappointed with the unfortunate passing away of um, Pope Benedict XVI, and just more stuff is coming out that's very sad. However, there is some silver lining here, but I unfortunately think that this is going to be used to cause more destruction in the church, which is unfortunate. So be prepared for this and be prepared to respond in a helpful way. What I'm seeing is Ganswein, the personal secretary to Pope Benedict XVI, is publishing or has published a book called Nothing But the Truth, My Life Beside Pope Benedict XVI, where he is going over all kinds of information about his time and experiences with Benedict XVI that hasn't been released until now. It's not available in English yet. Um, I imagine there will be an English translation soon. However, there is a translation of a portion available in the source that I put in the show notes, so you can see a link to it. And I'm not going to read through it all because it's fairly lengthy, but I'll just give you my overall thoughts on it. One unfortunate thing that we see here are some criticisms on part of Pope Benedict of Pope Francis. Now he's it seems like he's supportive of Pope Francis and he wants to be respectful to him and he doesn't really want to undermine his ministry or anything. It seems that that was Pope Benedict's intention. So I think that he had every intention of not publicly undermining Pope Francis. But we're seeing here, unfortunately, it's being put into the public, some of his private comments and thoughts that he presumably shared with Ganswein. Um, and again, he's trying to be respectful, even in private with Ganswein, to Pope Francis. But he does make some comments here that I fear are going to end up being used to undermine the magisterium of Pope Francis. My take is some of these criticisms that he offers, for instance, on Traditionis Custodes, my speculation is probably that he thought, I mean, just given the judgment of charity here, he probably just thought that these comments would stay private and did not know they were going to be published by Ganswein and put in public. That's my charitable take here. I sure hope that he didn't think that his private comments would be published. But I, unfortunately, they were, for better or worse. And I think that we could certainly question Ganswein's actions here in publishing some of this stuff. Now, specifically on Traditionis Custodes, he has a criticism there that, you know, I have criticisms of Traditionis Custodes. I've even put them out in public, but I'm not a former pope. And me charitably criticizing Pope Francis on um, Traditionis Custodes in a constructive way won't be used to undermine his magisterium because I'm not a former pope. However, a former pope doing this is troubling. Again, because a former pope, their evaluation of a reigning pope is going to carry much more weight than anybody else. And so, unfortunately, even though I don't think his intentions were to try to undermine Pope Francis in any way, it's going to be used that way. Even though, again, we can offer some fair criticisms of Traditionis Custodes, people are going to take these not to just offer some constructive criticism, but to undermine the magisterium of Pope Francis altogether, which I'm sure Pope Benedict would not have approved of. But that's how it's going to be used. And to be frank, I know he probably, again, thought that these were just private criticisms, but my thing is, look, with all due respect to, you know, Pope Benedict, the late Pope Benedict, if he wanted to criticize Pope Francis, he shouldn't have abandoned the papacy. If he wanted to criticize a magisterium of a reigning pope, or if he wanted to criticize or weigh in or have a position on some kind of debate in the church, he should have just remained pope and put that into the magisterium rather than abandoning the papacy and then offering criticism behind the scenes. Um, he would have been much more effective by putting his position into implementation and into legislation and into the magisterium rather than abandoning the papacy, having somebody else come along and then privately undermining by private words, even though that may not have been the intention, that still is going to be what is accomplished from this, through criticisms. And that's what's unfortunate. I think that, look, if we're going to go that route, why abandon the papacy? Just remain pope. So, especially since he lived well after the abdication, it doesn't, doesn't really seem like he just could not have handled the papacy. I mean, he felt that he couldn't have, but just seems to me that I think he could have. He can offer some criticisms of Traditionis Custodes, then I think he still has something to offer. And maybe he could have continued Summorum Pontificum if he felt that that was the best way. He could have continued to keep that in legislation, rather than abandoning the papacy and having somebody else potentially come along and reverse it. So again, charitable take here. I don't think that he knew he was going to be used and is being used already. But that's unfortunately what's going to happen. And I guarantee this is going to be used, and this book is going to be used to dissent from the magisterium of Pope Francis for years to come. And I know that that would not have been something Pope Benedict would have approved of or ever wanted his words to be used for. But that's unfortunately what people are going to do today. I think we could say the greater problem here is not so much with private comments of Pope Benedict, but the greater problem is more with Ganswein publishing these things. You should have just left those comments private. To publish those things is to publicly undermine the magisterium of Pope Francis in one way or another. I don't know if that was intentional on Ganswein's part. I can't read intentions, but I'm just saying objectively what this does is it serves to undermine the ministry and magisterium of Pope Francis. And maybe Pope Francis is, wrong about Traditionis Custodes. Pope Benedict was right, but Pope Benedict abandoned the papacy. So, that's what happens. That's what happens. You open room for somebody else to come in and do something else, which may not be as effective or prudent. So, but I'm not sure that publishing private criticisms of Pope Benedict, of a reigning pope, is very helpful. Seems to be incredibly destructive, because we all know that's going to be used by many people in the church to undermine Pope Francis. One other thing, though, there's some silver lining here. It at least shows that Pope Benedict knew and believed that Pope Francis was the Pope, even in these private conversations. I mean, we already knew that, right, from his public appearances. But Ganswein is giving, private comments from Benedict. And so if Ganswein is reliable, and I believe he is, then that just continues to confirm that Benedict knew he was no longer Pope. He didn't believe he was Pope, and he knew that Pope Francis was Pope. And he believed that Pope Francis was Pope, and therefore we should too. And again, we can offer some fair criticisms of him. Let's see. I wonder how this is going to unfold. However, I believe that Ganswein had a private meeting with Pope Francis just recently, and I imagine it is about this book and news that is breaking. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do hope that there are some consequences for this act that is going to be used to dissent from his magisterium. I hope that there are some consequences for that, and I hope that Ganswein at this point just, doesn't do this anymore. Doesn't continue to try to, I say try, I don't know if his intentions, doesn't continue to do anything that would undermine the magisterium of Pope Francis, because it's not his position to use Pope Benedict to do that. Again, if Pope Benedict, in his opinion, was going to matter here, he should have remained Pope. he shouldn't have abandoned the papacy. But unfortunately, his opinion doesn't matter compared to a present reigning pontiff whenever he is the one who opened up the situation to have Pope Francis to begin with. So that's my take on it. Really sad to see it. You know, I don't think it takes away from the legacy of Pope Benedict on the question of the hermeneutic of continuity. I think his legacy, he left the church a really good gem there that is going to be used for ages to come with the hermeneutic of continuity. But it is unfortunate that I think this might taint some of his legacy. However, many people won't see it that way. They're going to see this as increasing his legacy and making him even better, because it just goes to show that we were right all along. Pope Francis is horrible. And again, they're going to try to use it to undermine the magisterium of Pope Francis. All right, y'all, that's going to do it. I'm sure more to come as the situation unfolds. All right. See y'all later. God bless. Oh wait, before you go, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting this channel. This is my primary means to provide for my family, and it also helps me to produce content like this video. If you would like to support me, become a patron by visiting patreon.com/reason and theology. You'll also get access to extra exclusive content when you become a patron. Lastly, hit that like button and the subscribe button, and be sure to leave a comment down below. God bless. Merry Christmas, everybody. You know, I started this channel in January of 2019, so I've been doing this show for roughly 4 years. And in the month of April, I was fortunate enough to be able to do the show full-time instead of part-time. So I transitioned to a full-time show in the month of April, thanks to all of the subscribers, the patrons, and the channel members. So I want to personally thank y'all for making that possible. So I have some exciting news for the month of January here in 2023. I was fortunate enough to have a donor bless me with the funds for 1 month to hire a marketing team to help this channel grow. Now, this marketing team is going to grab some select highlight clips and YouTube shorts, and that will help reach a larger audience because, frankly, most people don't have the time to watch an hour or 2 hour video by yours truly. So, doing highlight clips and YouTube shorts, that's much more likely to reach a newer audience and help this channel grow. Now, this donor has paid for me to do this for a month. However, if you like what this channel is doing and you want to see it continue to grow, and you think I'm producing good content that really needs to reach people, perhaps you think that I'm helping Eastern Orthodox come into communion with the Catholic Church, or helping Protestants see their need for communion with the Catholic Church, or perhaps you think that I'm helping bring some reason to Catholics who are already in the church but are struggling with the present crisis. Perhaps you think that that needs to reach a new audience and will help bring some hope and reason to various people. If you do, and if you have benefited from this channel, I ask that you would consider supporting me on Patreon. It's going to be patreon.com/reason and theology. You'll go straight there and you'll see various plans that you can support me at and also get additional content and benefits. I am going to need your support if you would like to see this channel grow continuing after the month of January. If you would like to see me continue to aggressively market this channel and reach new people, please consider supporting me. Patreon.com/reason and theology. If you think this content has benefited souls, whether they are Catholics, Orthodox, or Protestants, certainly check out one of those plans there. You'll also, of course, get access to extra content, and for those who sign up at the $25 level,
I will call you on Zoom and we'll have a personal conversation together, and we'll just chat about whatever you would like. And so that will be one additional benefit that comes with supporting me at that level. But once again, if I can get at least 200 patrons to sign up and support me, I can continue to grow this channel after the month of January with a continued strategy in marketing. So certainly consider supporting me, patreon.com/reason and theology, if you feel that I'm producing content that needs to reach a new audience with a message of hope for people who are confused in this time of crisis within the Catholic Church, and also to reach a non-Catholic audience to tell them of their need to join in the one church of Christ that is the Catholic Church. All right, thank you for considering this, and I covet your prayers. God bless.